I went to work. On the morning after being abducted, summoned to another world, Saikara Kondo stood alone at the back entrance of the royal palace of the Romani kingdom. He had not been thrown out, nor had anyone failed to keep a promise. Rather, due to his ingrained corporate wage-slave habits, or more precisely, his Japanese mentality, he had voluntarily arrived 30 minutes early, as Helmut had instructed. After that yesterday, Norbert, the flashy guy, had given him necessary items such as books and clothes, and then guided him around the lodging. Dinner had been buffet-style in the cafeteria. They ate together while Norbert explained things, and he entered the bathhouse at a time when it was not crowded. As long as he avoided peak hours, the bath was spacious enough for residents and easy to use. There were some complaints, such as soap that did not lather well and towels that felt rough, but he had nearly given up on the possibility of soaking in warm water at all, so he was grateful. During dinner and bathing, he asked Norbert many things about this world. For example, how numbers were counted, how time worked, the yearly cycle, and the currency. They were all matters related to numbers, but mathematics was a concept, and by understanding the concept, one could understand the standards of the world. To organize what he had learned, one day was divided into 6 periods: fire, water, wind, earth, wood, and light. Clocks existed as well. When he counted while watching the second hand, the concept of 1 second matched his own. In other words, 1 hour consisted of 120 minutes, repeated twice in a cycle. And 1 year was also divided into fire, water, wind, earth, wood, and light months, with each period consisting of 60 days. It seemed that this world tended to be structured around the number 6. And as for the numbers themselves, both the books Norbert had brought and the clocks used Arabic numerals familiar to Saikara. However, another issue arose here. Saikara could read the books Norbert had brought. He had already felt something strange about being able to understand the spoken language from the beginning, and apparently, the same applied to written characters. Everything he heard and everything he saw was somehow translated. As a test, he showed Norbert some Japanese writing, and it was understood without issue. He did not know the principle behind it, but perhaps it was the gods' apology, as they claimed, for abducting him from another world. There was no inconvenience, but the possibility that he had lost the opportunity to see entirely new mathematical formulas from this world disappointed him slightly. And speaking of Norbert, the reason he was not here with him despite working in the same department was simple: oversleeping. Of course, Norbert had overslept. Saikara had woken up with enough time to arrive early, prepared himself, and gone to breakfast, but Norbert was nowhere to be seen. After finishing breakfast, he prepared himself and waited a bit, but since the previous day's guidance had made the route to the palace clear, he did not feel Norbert was necessary and went to work alone. I guess I arrived too early. Well, better early than late. Thinking that, Saikara looked at the wristwatch he had been wearing when he was abducted. It was a mechanical watch, and as long as he mentally converted the time, it worked normally here, so he had not taken it off. His current attire consisted of a white uniform with brown lines and white trousers. Most civil officials wore this uniform, and brown indicated the accounting department. The comfort was not bad. The climate was close to spring. He wondered whether this was a country with a mild climate or simply the season. While basking in the warm morning sunlight, Saikara reopened the book Helmut had given him. The contents were basic arithmetic, but some of the explanations and phrasing differed from those in Japan, which he found interesting. While rereading it as preparation, waiting for Helmut, a shadow fell over him. Looking up, he saw a man with black hair, black eyes, and black clothing standing there. He recognized the uniform, similar to his own, but with gold decorations. Yesterday's. It was the man who had been present when he was abducted into this world, the one who had watched them with apparent boredom. From a distance, he had only seemed well-featured, but up close, he was overwhelmingly handsome. He was a man, yet not feminine, and Saikara had never met anyone to whom the word beautiful applied so well. Well-shaped eyebrows framed his face, black hair falling over them, and beneath it were thick eyelashes and striking violet eyes. He was slightly taller than Saikara, around 180 centimeters. Above all, his physique was impressive. Even through his clothes, his solid muscles were evident. Not overly bulky, but the kind of build women would like. That was Saikara's first impression. "What are you doing here?" The question was asked with complete disinterest, and for a moment Saikara did not understand. After about 2 seconds, seeing the man's brows furrow, he answered, "I am waiting for someone." "Waiting? For whom? Saikaira was standing near the wall, slightly away from the palace's employee entrance. Although many people had come and gone, none had paid him any attention. Yet this uninterested man had deliberately approached him. Wondering what his intention was, Saikaira assumed from his demeanor and presence that he was someone of high rank and answered politely. Helmet from the Royal Palace Accounting Department. Why? The man continued questioning him in minimal words. Saikaira thought he must be someone of very high status. A lack of courtesy toward conversation partners was often a trait of those in power. I will be working in the Royal Palace Accounting Department starting today, so he is guiding me on my first day. Even with a polite smile, Saikaira answered. This time, the man looked genuinely suspicious. For what purpose? Before Saikaira could respond, a familiar voice rang out from afar. "See-san, why did you go ahead without me?" Norbert came running, his uniform worn casually as before, his hairstyle perfectly arranged despite oversleeping. "What?" "Commander Indrak." The moment he saw the man, he slammed on the brakes and stood upright. The man glanced at Saikaira with mild irritation and entered the palace without another word. "Whoa, that scared me. That was the Third Night Order commander. First time I've seen him that close." "What were you talking about, Sei-san?" Wiping sweat from his forehead, Norbert approached. Saikaira closed his book and tilted his head. "He just asked what I was doing here." "Huh. Maybe he was concerned because he knows you were summoned together with the Saintess." "I see." Only a very small number of people knew that Saikaira was someone summoned alongside the Saintess. The palace likely did not want to openly admit they had involved an unrelated civilian. Considering that, it made sense that the Third Night Commander, who had been present, would find him suspicious if he saw him wandering near the palace in a civil official's uniform. "I heard the Third Night Commander was cold, but maybe he's kind too." "Was he?" Saikaira tilted his head internally. That man had watched him and the girl coldly when they were abducted. And earlier, he had looked at him like a suspicious stranger. "By the way, what is the Third Night Order?" "You can talk casually with me. The Third Night Order is the unit that uses both magic and swords." "Magic?" This was the first time he had heard that word here. "Yes. The First Night Order is the main force, but the Third is an elite unit that can use magic and is skilled with swords. Especially their commander, Aresh Indrak. He's on another level." According to Norbert, the kingdom had 3 Night Orders. The First Night Order guarded the palace and the city. The Second Night Order protected royalty and important figures. The Third Night Order consisted of elite warriors who used both magic and swords. The black-haired man was the commander of the Third Night Order, and black was their color. That explained his entirely black attire. He was also a rare genius who had become commander at an unusually young age, and he came from a prestigious family. Good looks, noble lineage, strength, and rapid advancement. How much more could heaven grant one man? However, rumors said he was uninterested in everything, always appearing lethargic. "I see. That's impressive." Norbert himself was apparently from a noble family and had entered the accounting department through connections. It's the same everywhere. At precisely the scheduled time, Helmut arrived, and they first headed to the accounting department. The palace was vast, but the floors used by royalty and guests were clearly separated. The accounting department was located in a building that also housed servants such as attendants and maids. The room he was shown was about the size of a classroom, with 6 desks. Only this many? He was surprised that the accounting department of the royal palace, the center of the nation, had so few people, but Helmut said there were 5 including Saikaira. "Well, you'll get used to the work gradually. For now, let's have tea." "Huh." Even though work had not begun, Helmut busied himself preparing tea. "Ah, I'll help." As the lowest-ranking member, that was all Saikaira could do, follow his superior.